If you find that you have people-pleasing tendencies, have a difficult time placing boundaries for yourself, if you are constantly hoping to make sure that everybody else around you is approving of who you are, and as a result, you're maybe finding yourself being a perfectionist and comparing yourself to others and their successes, which then leads to you feeling like a failure and maybe even dealing with some low self-esteem, this video is for you. This conversation is what you need to hear, and I'm glad to be able to speak to you. My name is Trevor Taylor. I'm a yogi, I'm an educator, I'm a speaker and a community leader. And today's topic is something near and dear to my heart because it is a pivotal part of my journey towards how I've gotten to this place of peace. It's about self-acceptance. Self-acceptance is phase 2 of this self-love journey. And this is the second part of the video. I think this might be the third part. So if you haven't, make sure you go check out self-awareness, which is step 1, and even just talking about love, which was in the first video. But let's get into it. I'm going to share with you vulnerable parts about my story because I believe my experiential wisdom is what gives me credit to talk about this topic. Not that I've just endured trauma, but that I've found a way to overcome the trauma, to find a new approach to life rather than continuing to react to life from a traumatic standpoint. So first, self-acceptance is going to be a huge part of you living an authentic life. Because if you have difficulty accepting yourself and all the things that make you unique, all of the things that make you you, then how can you go out and live in a world and be authentic? Truth be told, you're going to feel like you have to fit in everybody else's mold or expectation of who you're supposed to be. And if you don't fit that mold and you have this fear of rejection, this fear of exclusion, then guess what? You're not allowing yourself to just truly be who you are. You're just hoping to fit the expectation that others may have on you, which truth be told, you're not always aware of the expectations that other people might have of you. But being hyper fixated on what others are thinking about you leads to a life of like a lack of self-acceptance. Because there's parts of you that you deem unworthy. And let's be honest, you didn't learn these things on your own. Much of these beliefs about ourselves have been conditioned ways of thinking. It's how the media has portrayed what it means to be a man. It's what you saw when you were growing up, what it means to be a woman, an independent woman, right? It's what you learned in school from the examples and the limited amount of examples of what it means to be great and to be black, or a person of color and to be great. It is the conditioned ways of which your romantic partners in your community convinced you that certain things were acceptable where others were not. This is common in all cultures and all communities, that there are unacceptable behaviors that we learn to experience shame for when we express them. Shame is one of the lowest feelings an individual can experience. Shame is something that makes us want to hide and never see the light of day. Guilt might push us to do something better because we know that we can do better. But shame is just so low, it's so heavy. It feels disgusting. And when we see someone else shamed for a behavior, we subconsciously learn, especially as children, that we should never recreate that pattern, at least not be seen doing it. When I was in a relationship, back in my early career of teaching, I was really honed in on this idea of being perfect. I wanted to be the perfect partner, which meant I had to find out what is it exactly that she's looking for and how can I go out of my way to be the man of her dreams. This sounds so romantic, doesn't it? We see this on media all the time. But truth be told, in my desire to be the man of her dreams, I had suppressed all of my own. That there were things that I really enjoyed and wanted to do, but did not feel that she would accept them. So rather than me even acknowledging these things or sharing these things with my then at the time partner, I kept them to myself because I wanted to make sure that I fit her mold and I was nothing more and nothing less than what she was looking for. This idea of being a perfectionist, I can remember even back in 5th grade when I got my first B. I was a straight A student, and when I got my first B in science in Miss Carr's class, I walked every step of the way home crying, which was almost about a mile. It was about 0.8 mile walk home as a first grader. And it was because I had felt that I had let down all of those who had this high expectation of Trev being perfect, Trev being the straight A student, Trev being the star student. I had received so much praise from my family, from my friends, from my community on just my ability to do great things academically, that when I did not meet that standard, I was afraid that I would lose their love, that I would not be welcomed in my own home, that I might be seen as less than worthy from the people who show me love and nurture and care and provide a home and give me comfort. Having understood how that thought pattern in 5th grade even showed up in a relationship in my early 20s, I now am more aware of how this self-sabotaging process of thinking leads to an ultimate demise of every individual who is struggling with the same thing, a lack of self-acceptance. In 5th grade, I could not accept the fact that I got a B. And I wanted to hide it. I wanted to be ashamed of it. And I just cried about it. When I was in this relationship and I was hoping to be perfect, because I was not showing up as my most authentic self, by the time I left from her apartment, what I was really doing was going out and doing the things that I was hoping I could have done with her. But then it came out from a negative standpoint. I was cheating. I was lying. I was being sneaky. That wasn't my intent. My intention was to be happy. My intention was to just to do the things that I had been wanting to do for so long, but didn't know if it was okay for me to do it in someone else's eyes. So I thought if I just did it in secret, then nobody would have to know about it. These behaviors, while I am aware now, was a cry for help and a desire to just be myself. It was executed poorly because I did not feel safe enough to even express these parts about me because I had felt so much shame about wanting to do these things. Like I wanted to have more sex with other women, but that didn't mean I didn't love my partner. I just now understand a bit more about the idea of polyamory and ethically non-monogamous relationships. That's what I was looking for at that time, but that was not something I saw in my childhood. I saw a lot of cheating. I saw a lot of lying. I saw people sneaking out. I saw, promiscuity as the norm. And I realized that while those were options, and they might not have been the best options, those that I was seeing do it, they were happy. And they would brag about it. And they'd tell their friends. And they'd come back and be excited and have this adrenaline about them. I was like, yeah, that sounds fun. Because you still got to do the thing you wanted to do. You had a little fun. It was sneaky. And your partner doesn't know, so y'all can still be happy. And you don't have to deal with any discomfort. But the avoidance of discomfort is one of the 5 root causes of pain. So as I've understood that now, and this comes from yogic philosophy, by the way, the process of trying to avoid pain leads to even more pain. But it's like the second arrow that you get shot with, where the first arrow you didn't know was coming, but the second one, you shot it yourself. So in this journey of self-acceptance and learning how to live a life of authenticity, the first step is accepting who you are as a unique individual, and then living that truth, embodying that truth wherever you go. Wherever you go, there you are. I believe I have that book. Yes. Great book for meditation. Written by John Kabat-Zinn, author of Full Catastrophe Living and Coming to Our Senses. This is mindfulness and meditation in everyday life. This book is beat up. I've had it since college. I keep it with me for the simple fact that it reminds me that self-acceptance is a practice of me being true to myself no matter what room I step into. There's a quote that I want you to keep in mind. Go where you're celebrated, not just tolerated. But this does not start externally. You have to be willing to hold that space for yourself. If there are parts of you that you only tolerate, but you have a hard time celebrating, start there. Because wherever you go, there you are. You can't run away from your soul. That's who you are. So if your soul has interest and desires, things that you're passionate about, but you don't feel like you can safely admit that, even to yourself, that's a good place to start. That's the best place to start. And then you start to reevaluate the people you're around, your family, your community, the people you invest your time and energy into. Do they support you in the things that make you you, or do they just tolerate those? And worst of all is that they shame you for just being authentic. Because if you have to make yourself small just to fit in their circle, that's not a space for you. You deserve to be celebrated. And as unique as you are, I promise you're not the only one who likes, wants, and desires the things that you do. There's a community of people. There are 8 billion individuals on this planet. If you think you're by yourself, I want you to first just try and imagine 8 billion. And you'll realize that if you can't even conceive that amount of people, then guarantee that there is somebody out there. TikTok proves it now. You put something in the search bar, you follow 3 accounts, and then guess what? Now your timeline is flooded with things that appeal to you. The algorithm is already showing you how connected we are. Just through our valued or our shared interests and passions and hobbies. But without the ability to accept that about yourself, and without a community that is willing to accept those parts about you, you'll learn to suppress them even further because you deem them unworthy of loving. This is a toxic behavior that then leads to the suppression of your soul and ultimately your greatest demise, you settling for stagnant life, for a stagnant way of living, for a stagnant way of being. That does not lead towards growth. Stagnant water is breeding ground for disease. You are 70% water. Don't just allow yourself to be a breeding ground for dis-ease. But be yourself, be authentic. That's who the world is looking for. That's who you deserve. You deserve to spend the rest of your life being happy about the person you choose to be. Not simply recreating the patterns of the way you were brought up in hopes that others might accept you for the person you pretend to be. Even actors have to step off the stage and take off the mask. But if they keep that mask on for so long, we hear about this in Hollywood. Actors will prepare for a role, but by the time that role is done, they have a hard time breaking character because that's who they truly believe that they are at that point. Have you been playing a role, and how long have you been playing that role? And what parts of you have you suppressed in the pursuit of perfecting that role? That role of a parent, as a CEO, that role of the perfect boyfriend, girlfriend, or partner. You're not here to fit a mold. You're here to be yourself and to do the thing that you do in the most unique and authentic way that can't nobody else in history do it. because you are a unique individual. But learning to accept that and to be okay with that, to celebrate your unique characteristics and qualities, is what this journey of self-love is about. So, talk about a few just practical tips of how to cultivate self-awareness and self-acceptance, specifically self-acceptance. Self-reflection. In yoga, we call it svadhyaya, which is a practice of you just knowing your habits, your thoughts, your feelings, your interests, the things that trigger you, the things that get you excited and aroused. Can you accept the fact that these are just your truths? And that doesn't mean that you're less than or more than anything else. And a practice of svadhyaya is journaling, a non-judgmental approach to you allowing your thoughts and feelings to come out of your mouth, through your hand, and onto paper, so that whatever you write down, you know, believe, and can be accepting of, are just thoughts and feelings. They're fleeting. Right? But don't just journal and close the book and say, whew, that was a lot. But take the time to journal, then go back and read what you wrote and underline the things that you might see stand out to you, so that you can at least be aware of some of those things that may have been in your mind, but you kept trying to suppress. It is helpful to have a journal. To practice non-judgmental journaling means that when you see something, you don't disgust yourself or you don't feel too proud about yourself or what you wrote. You accept that these are just your truths, and that's okay. Another practical tip toward cultivating self-acceptance is mindfulness practice, again, with non-judgment. So here's how I would suggest that you do this. If you're brand new to meditation and breathing, understood. Do this for like 1 to 3 minutes. That's 60 to 180 seconds. You can do that. But the practice of mindfulness is to sit still in a comfortable position, maybe close your eyes, and notice the thoughts that are on your mind. Notice the feelings that are present. And without adding to the story, just see them. Like, for instance, right now, I can be honest. I'm mindful in a mindfulness moment. I notice that I am a little bit anxious because I'm in front of the camera. So I might be speaking fast. I'm talking with my hands and my heart rate is kind of high. My breathing is kind of in my chest. I'm a bit nervous, even though it's just me in the room. I'm noticing that some of my thoughts are like, oh man, did you say that well enough? Is it okay that you're even saying this part? Will people be on this video long enough? So, but I'm aware of these thoughts. I'm accepting that these are part of my present moment, but I'm not allowing them to dictate how I move, how I react, how I respond to nature. But I'm accepting the fact that they are very present at this moment. Now, you might be on the outside looking in like, bro, you seem so poised. What do you mean? Y'all, I have been crying on camera. Not today specifically, but I've had moments where I've cried on camera and I understood, like, at that moment, there is no turning back. I'm already here. But I'm accepting that it's okay. These are just fleeting moments. So a mindfulness practice of non-judgment, a non-judgmental observation of what's going on inside yourself is a key component to self-acceptance. So again, first thing you can do is journal. Second thing, mindfulness meditations. Simply just observing what's taking place non-judgmentally. And the third one, affirmations. Affirm yourself with positive self-talk. Otherwise, the internal dialogue that continues to repeat in your mind, which very oftentimes, especially in my personal experience, is a replay of the thoughts and feelings of those who came before you, who taught you early on, who conditioned your subconscious mind to think the way that it does. But if you were to recreate or to truly just believe everything your parents taught you and never question them, never be skeptical about whether this was true or not, then you would be living the exact same life as your parents. And we know that that's not what we want. That doesn't mean our parents had a bad life. That just knows that we're just accepting the fact that there is room for our life to be even better. So, the practice of affirmations is to affirm the things that you know about yourself as true. I am a powerful speaker. I feel confident when I speak. I have the ability to transform the lives of others through the power of my words. I love to teach and I love to share my message and my story. I speak with conviction and I speak from a place of love and I speak with authority. I see that I am a speaker and I see myself radically changing the world through the ways that I use my voice. And I know and believe that what I'm sharing is helpful information for the people in my community. I just affirm myself through all 7 chakras. A practice of affirmation, speaking life over yourself. Because if you don't do this, if you don't reprogram your subconscious mind to believe in itself and to have positive self-talk, to know that it is a tool for the soul, then guess what? It will be the self-sabotaging device that ruins your life. All because it's just going to recreate the same old thought patterns. These are 3 practical steps toward cultivating self-acceptance. So, I've said a lot. But truth is, I just want to close with this. This journey of self-love is an ongoing process of you reprogramming your mind from the ways in which the world around you, as a child and as a young adult, convinced you that you had to live by. The journey of self-love is determining for yourself what actions, what behaviors, what thoughts, what feelings are truly helpful for me in the long run, not just in my time of comfort. The path of enlightenment is a journey of self-love, being aware of all the things that make you who you are. Let me rephrase it. Being aware of all the things that have convinced you to believe that you are a certain type of person. And then knowing that that's not who you are. And true self-awareness comes from knowing that you are the seer, you are the consciousness, you are the eternal light that lives within you. You are your soul, and your journey is about unveiling all of the layers that other people told you that you had to fit in order to fit in. Then accepting the fact that that part of your soul that you are now a bit more aware of, that you get to learn to love it and to celebrate it. For so long, I didn't want to acknowledge the fact that I truly love to speak and I love to share and I love to teach. But I was so hurt from my job as a teacher that I left my career from a place of pain and then tried to abandon my gifts as if that's not who I am. As if that's not my supernatural talent and my ability to serve the world in a great way. So as I learned to accept that and I became more aware of it, I then held myself accountable to showing up for my highest self, no matter how uncomfortable my mind and body may feel during a certain situation. Like I told you, I feel a little bit of anxiety and some nerves even on camera. But that doesn't stop me from speaking. And yeah, it might not be the perfect video. This might not be the perfect message. Some other creator, someone with experience far greater than mine might have something to say. Some viewer out there who has no experience might have something to say. But guess what? The path of self-acceptance is to know that I'm not here to compare myself to anybody as a means of belittling what I do. The path of self-acceptance is about accepting myself with no mask on, flaws and all, because I know that as great as I am right now, I'm only just getting started. I'm getting better and better, day by day, moment by moment, breath by breath. And so are you. So know that the light in me, the eternal light that lives within me, it sees it in you. It honors it in you. It wants to empower you to illuminate whatever spaces you walk into, no longer making yourself small for anybody else's comfort. And the light in me loves every bit of light that lives inside of you. That's all that you are, and that's all that I am. And this journey of self-love is us uncovering that light more and more, day by day, moment by moment, breath by breath. Hey, make sure you subscribe to this page. Make sure you like the page. Share this with somebody. This is a message of empowerment, of encouragement, of love. And this is a message from one light to the next. Until next time. Peace. Namaste.